माता भूमिः पुत्रोऽहं पृथिव्यः. Earth is my mother. I am her child. We knew this once, before cities arrived, before land had names, before the ground was closed. This is not dirt. It's what held us when we first learned to walk. It cooled our feet in summer. It carried our weight. It took our footprints and slowly let them go. Yet it remembers us long after we forget it. We talk about the planet by looking up at the blurry sky, at the thick air, but the ground beneath us has been listening all along, holding what we take, holding what remains, holding time itself, and slowly, without a noise, without anyone noticing, it is slipping away. In this handful of dirt, there is more carbon than in the air above our head, and we are losing it faster than we can see. And yet, this loss remains one of the least understood parts of the climate story. We often look to forests and oceans when we talk about storing carbon, but the biggest store isn't something we see, it's something we stand on. Across the planet, soil stores about 1500 billion tons of carbon as organic matter, more than all the plants on Earth combined, and nearly twice the carbon currently drifting through the atmosphere above us. This carbon did not arrive overnight. It built up slowly through thousands of years of fallen leaves, growing roots, and living, breathing earth. Every plant pulls carbon from the air as it grows. Some we see as wood or grain, but much of it sinks below into the roots. Carbon waits for leaves to fall, for roots to die back, for life to complete its cycle before being locked away.
See, soil has a lot of potential to sequester carbons because as if we only know that carbon is stored in the form of biomass or organic carbon, but that's not the only truth. That is the one side of the soil. In soil, carbon is stored in form of organic carbon also. And to be very honest, I tell you that the carbon which is present in the form of organic carbon that is recycled. That fluctuations in that organic carbon that happens from seasonal. But the inorganic carbon is a long-term carbon stocks in soil. And I tell you, if the vegetation is not there, then also some soils have the potential to store carbon in the form of inorganic carbon. And it takes many years, like more than 20-30 years for the inorganic carbon to break down. So think a situation, if that inorganic carbon will be free in the atmosphere, so what could be the increase of carbon content or the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and how the temperature in the environment will increase?
Beneath the surface, billions of microbes go to work. They break this material down, if not all of it. Some carbon returns to the air, but much of it stays behind, bound to soil particles, protected from light and oxygen, locking carbon away, and remains sealed till it's left covered and undisturbed. Across grasslands, forests, and farms, living soils keep drawing carbon down, storing it beneath our feet year after year for centuries until our actions force the lock open. When soil is exposed, overworked, or sealed beneath concrete. The ground loses its balance. Air enters, life reorganizes, and carbon that took centuries to settle is pushed back into the world in just years, sometimes months.
We are snatching what we are losing in the soil, that makes the soil going to be extinct. Like we just dump a lot of construction waste, like bricks and all this, and we think once when it will get to the soil and it will become soil,
Hmm.
but it can't get soil, it can't become soil, because that particular dump has lost its organic values.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
soil as of has losing its organic values, and that's why I tell you that soil is getting to be extinct.
This is how development usually begins, by disturbing the earth. And each time we do, we unlock one of the planet's oldest carbon vaults. In forests, carbon is held deepest, settled slowly, protected by shade, roots, and time. A forest is more than what we see standing above the ground. It is what has been left undisturbed below it. For centuries, leaves have fallen, roots have grown and faded, and allowed carbon to sink into the soil, layer by layer, forming a living system, slow to build, but almost impossible to replace once lost. The tribals understood this balance. They understood their jungle and their Maati. They lived with it, not over it, until development knocked on their doors and displacement followed. Forests fell, and the earth's skin was stripped away, and with it, the thread that held people, forests, and soil together for generations began to unravel. What the land had stored for centuries was releasing in a matter of years. This isn't a possibility, it's a fact we are living through.
Soil is now going to be extinct, and we hardly have any concern for that. And if there is no soil, we can't expect that much vegetation. See, we are thinking about hydroponics, aeroponics, but how could you grow trees with the concept of hydroponics, with the concept of aeroponics? The big trees, they need soil.
Forests, like Hasdeo Aran, often called the lungs of India, have fallen to fuel our electricity demands through coal, while others, like Buxwaha or the Aravalis, are carved for diamond jewelry and for building stone, while the communities are pushed aside. The loss is immense and irreversible. Between 2002 and 2024, India lost around 348,000 hectares of humid primary forests, some of the most carbon rich and ecologically fragile land in the country, accounting for roughly 15% of total tree cover loss. Over the last 2 decades, more than 2.3 million hectares of tree cover have disappeared, releasing over a billion tons of carbon into the atmosphere. Life that took centuries to take roots in the forests is being erased in years, and the ground beneath, the keeper of this history, is being torn apart. Beneath forests, the soil is slowly losing its strength. Across farmlands, it is being worn down year after year by our applause, pressure, and persistence. Since the dawn of agriculture, an estimated 133 billion tons of carbon have been lost from the global soil, most of it escaping from the underground cells into the atmosphere. Industrial agriculture fueled this crusade to such an extent that just in the last 2 centuries, it has outpaced everything that came before. Mechanized plowing, chemical fertilizers, and monocropping have turned once living soils into carbon leaking machines. Traditional farming was a remedy that kept the soil alive and resilient, returning what was taken from the land in the form of residues and organic matter. Studies show that soils managed under such systems could retain up to 44% more long term carbon compared with intensively managed farmland today. When industrialization took roots, the story of Indian soils changed too. The traditional remedy was poisoned with chemical fertilizers, continuous plowing, and monocropping, draining the land of its life. Today, Indian farmlands have lost 30 to 40% of their original soil carbon compared to the pre-industrial levels.
It's a very blindfold that the soil in India that already had a deficiency of various nutrients. Specifically, the soil in India is deficient in nitrogen,
Okay.
isn't it? Now, again, if you think about the monoculture, if you plant the same type of plants, the plants will be extracting only a particular nutrient from the soil, and that particular nutrient it won't be replenished in that particular soil. So what happens, and all these nutrients they are interconnected. Like if we find the organic carbon is not like only carbon. Organic carbon means it is a compounds of carbon. So the compounds of carbon are also having hydrogen, also having oxygen, and also having nitrogen. So if a plant is just extracting nitrogen only, how is it possible that the soil will be having compounds of carbon or hydrogen or oxygen also? So as if all monoculture it ruins the whole organic structure of the soil.
The rice wheat belt of Punjab and Haryana tell the story vividly. Generations of carbon stored in the soil over decades are now being worked, burned, and released. Nearly 23 million tons of straw are burned every year, emitting 2.5 million tons of CO2, smog, and other greenhouse gases. Fertilizers intended to boost yields release nitrous oxide, a greenhouse gas 300 times more potent than CO2. Mechanization may speed up production, but it comes at a cost the soil has to pay. Heavy machinery compacts the earth, squeezing out air and water it needs. In parts of Rajasthan, this has reduced the soil moisture up to 30%. Chemical fertilizers act as a secondary layer of stress that disrupts soil microbes, the organisms that cycle nutrients and maintain structure. As they disappear, the soil grows weaker and its carbon drains away. Across India, soil organic carbon has slipped from around 1% to just 0.3% in a few decades.
When we implement the pesticides, they don't remain in that particular form. What happens? They break down in the form of anions and cations. And these anions and cations, they possibly they just make the soil slightly acidic or slightly saline. So again, that changes the attributes of the soil.
Unfortunately, the damage doesn't end here. Monocropping, overgrazing, poor irrigation, and deforestation further impair the soil. From cotton in Gujarat to sugarcane in Maharashtra, Relentless planting depletes nutrients to the point of slow replenishment, which aids in slowly suffocating the underground biodiversity. Crop productivity and the foundation of agriculture across India are threatened as 30 to 33% of land is classified as degraded owing to erosion, salinity, and nutrient loss.
Talk about the traditional methods, we, we stay away of the chemicals. See, if we imply any or if we add any of the chemical to any of the living body, so obviously the attributes of that particular chemical changes. Whatever chemical we are giving, that chemical breakdowns and it forms new elements, new chemicals it forms, or new it breaks into the form of anions, cations, or other compounds. It goes on many reactions. So those reactions are harmful for the soil. But as of traditional methods, there are no such chain of reactions. So no new harmful compounds will be formed. That is a good sign for the soil.
The consequences go beyond the land. Soil is the basis of food production. Around 95% of the human population is fed directly from it, and its decline obviously undermines food security. India, being the hub where agriculture serves and supports half of the natives. Here, degraded soils mean lower yields, higher input costs, and increased vulnerability to droughts, pests, and climate extremes. In Punjab, fewer than 7% of soil still retain high organic carbon. The damage is not coming, it is already here, written into the fields that feed us, shaping what we will grow, what we will lose, and the limits of food, water, and life itself. Soil can recover if we let it. After everything we have done to it, this matters because healing isn't a theory, it's already happening quietly in fields, villages, and even cities. In Andhra Pradesh, farmers began to look at their Maati differently, not as something to be pushed harder, but something tired. They stepped away from chemicals, they slowed down, and instead of taking more, they started giving back compost, crop residues, and organic matter. And the soil answered. Studies showed carbon returning, moisture stays longer, costs are falling by nearly 30 to 40%. But the change was visible even without numbers. The land grew darker, softer underfoot, alive again. The soil did not just survive, it remembered how to live. That same lesson echoed across Sikkim, India's first fully organic state. When synthetic chemicals were removed, the land slowly began to reset. Microbes returned, structure rebuilt itself. Water stopped running away so quickly. Yields steadied. From here, the story widens. Across the country, trees are finding their way back into the fields. Deep roots draw water. Fallen leaves return nourishment to the soil. Shade softens. Land that once buried under the sun. Slowly, the earth holds 30 to 50% more carbon and copes better with drought. Regenerative farming follows the same path. The soil is disturbed less. It isn't left bare, allowed to breathe. Rain sinks in. Erosion eases. Carbon loss reverses. What was leaking out slowly settles back into the ground. And this isn't limited to rural land. Most damaged land lies beyond fields. Degraded forest patches, mined landscapes, and forgotten commons. Methods like the Miyawaki accelerates recovery by quickly shading the soil, cooling the land, and rebuilding organic matter, often restoring soil carbon in just a few years. In Delhi, abandoned mining sites and construction dumps were once nothing but dust and heat. At Aravali Biodiversity Park, healing began in simple ways. Compost was added, native grasses were planted, and the land was left alone to recover. Today, the park is home to more than 300 plant species and over 200 kinds of birds. Not far away, at the Yamuna Biodiversity Park, the soil absorbs rain again, reducing runoff and settling dust. Temperatures inside the park stay 2 to 4 degrees cooler than the surrounding air, and soil that once held almost no organic matter now stores 3 to 5 times more carbon than it did in 20 years. What connects all these places is not technology, it is restraint and patience. The choice to step back and let the land do what it has always known to do. Restoration is not instant, but it is possible. Experts agree soil restoration is among the cheapest and fastest climate solutions available. No massive infrastructure, no new machines, just fewer disturbances, more cover, and the most important of them all, time. Hope doesn't fall from the sky, it rises quietly from the ground up like the first seed that blooms on dead soil after years. Climate change is not only fought in conference halls or policy rooms, it plays out every day, far from the spotlight, in forests, on farms, and beneath our cities. Not every climate battle is fought in the air. Some of the most important ones happen quietly underground. Forests once held deep, living soil, rich with memory. Farms pushed that soil to exhaustion. Cities buried it altogether. And yet, wherever pressure is reduced, the ground responds. Where roots return, water stays. Where land is given time, carbon settles back in. Not through force, but through patience. Centuries ago, Leonardo da Vinci wrote, "We know more about the movement of celestial bodies than about the soil under our feet." This remains true. Soil is more than ground beneath our feet. It cools cities, feeds lives, and holds carbon in silence, as long as we don't take the life out of it. The future of climate action will not be decided only above ground. It will be shaped by what we choose to protect below it. Because when soil is alive, everything else has a chance.